That's why Newsnet is working to bring you the latest throughout the day and into the night, with constant updates on developing stories and continuing coverage of the news that affects you. So be sure to join me, Remington Hernandez, every weeknight on Newsnet Evening Edition.
Sunshine, you're fucking special. We are bodacious. We're not interested in the trash. Rowdy, do you wear masks when you take the money? Opinionated. This is something you have the privilege and the right to do. And direct. I can take her. Sister. Thank you. Anything to help a sister.
I'll do it during the break. Good evening and welcome to Mouthy Broads. We're happy you could be here this evening. Right now, we are, we're broadcasting live on YouTube. We're live on the air for a moment, but we will be gone because we're doing some, well, in fact, I can tell it's going already. Anyway, we're making some changes on the satellite dish, so, but we are still broadcasting on YouTube, so if you're watching on YouTube, you don't know what the heck's going on anyway. So anyway, I'm Cheryl Nutt.
I'm Julie Whitfield. I'm Kimberly Garcia.
And we're really happy that you could join us this evening. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, and of course we welcome your calls at 316-337-5501. When we come back, I'll introduce a couple of topics, and we'll go from
When your yard needs a cleanup and you need help. When your yard needs mowing and your neighbor's yard looks like this. Your shrubs need some trimming. Wichita Lawn Care does it all. Commercial and residential lawn maintenance. Fully insured, offering contactless billing to keep you safe. Fair, dependable, and on time. Services to match the budget. Excellent customer service. A Christian family business. Highly recommended on Google. Wichita Lawn Care LLC. Owner Adam Fry. 316-393-4162. We take pride in what we do.
That's our business. We're Riverside Hair Station at the corner of 11th and Bidding. We're a cool, funky salon with modern styles and a relaxed atmosphere. Locally owned and operated in the heart of Riverside. Specializing in all hair services, we also offer tanning, nails, massage, waxing, and makeup. Gift certificates are always available. So come experience Riverside Hair Station at 816 West 11th or call 264-4807.
Closing a deal, that point when customers commit to buying whatever they're selling. Advertising sales agents sell advertising space to businesses and individuals to expand the public's awareness of products and services. They sell ads for online and print editions of publications such as radio, television, and more. Because their income and job security both depend on it, these sales agents invest a lot of their time building relationships with their customers. They research and analyze clients' needs and prepare creative, persuasive materials to encourage them to buy advertising. Many need to meet sales goals, so are continuously on the lookout for sources of new clients, making phone calls and office visits to interest them in advertising. Agents need to keep detailed contact and communication records and be prepared to draft advertising contracts for clients. They also need to represent their employer reliably and answer any questions a client may have. Good communication skills are essential for the field and a proven record of success in sales.
Welcome back to Mouthy Broads. You know, what's all over the news right now is the school shooting that occurred in, what was the name of the town? Uvalde, Texas.
Uvalde, yeah.
Yeah.
Uvalde.
And it was horrific. There were, at last count, I believe there's 19 children dead and two or three teachers.
2 adults. 19, yeah, 19 children and 2 adults.
So, I mean, it's almost as though none of this surprises us anymore. We're so used to hearing about not just school shootings, but mass shootings that are happening everywhere. And I hate to say that we're desensitized to it, but I think to a degree we are.
We are.
Well, it's pretty sad that you think that it's becoming the norm.
Yeah.
Too many things are becoming the norm that shouldn't be becoming the norm.
Right. So, Kim is working on a book that she started to write before the pandemic, but it's talking about how to recognize and then how to heal people that are suicidal. It says, we cannot heal what we are unwilling to look at. What we do not heal now becomes baggage carried into the future. It's been 46 minutes since the active shooters were found. Standing in silence, I observe my surroundings. Being a forensic profiler and handwriting analyst practitioner, this became one of too many school shootings I have profiled. The smell of death and the splatter of scarlet red throughout the halls tells a different story of each victim's last moments. Teachers amazingly keep their emotions concealed while helping students through the maze of bodies and blood. Terrified, screaming students exit the school building into the arms of distraught parents and loved ones. Walking the hallways, I scrutinize posters, pictures, and notes on the bulletin boards, glancing into the minds of the students through their handwriting and artwork. Foreseeing the future outcome of these students is like peering into obscurity. There are so many confused children with identity issues, depression, sexual abuse, and suicidal thoughts. These shootings have become all too familiar within America's school system. Each school had the opportunity to identify these characteristics and could have prevented these children from stepping into the darkness with no promise of return. So where are the prevention steps? Why does this keep happening? What is taking so long for the appropriate protocols to be in place? Could it be that we're focusing too intensely on the distractions used to cause these heartless acts versus the obstacles creating them? And that's a really good question, because it's kind of like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? We don't know what exactly is it's a cycle, and we don't know where the cycle starts.
No, it starts a lot with what's right here and what they have access to. And any shooting that I have worked on, any case that I've worked on like this, I've yet to work on one where the shooter thought they were going to come out alive and was expecting to come out alive. All of them go in expecting not to come back out. And that's why I had mentioned on the name of the book, it's A Flicker of Light in the Suicidal Mind, because in that last brief moment, it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then they're gone. But just like on the Columbine shooters, all the writings that they did tells detail what they were going to do. Teachers had access to this. If they knew how to do the forensic work on it or just look at the signs, this shooting could have been stopped. They went in there, and with the writing on the paper, you could tell that they were going in, they knew what they were going to do, and they knew they were never coming back out. That was definitely in the paperwork. So anything that I had access to, the teachers had access to.
But they didn't know what to do with the information.
This
that
is
they
what I
had.
try to teach. Go in and work with teachers. These are the signs to look at. If you see any children with these things in their handwriting, then somebody needs to be notified very quickly.
I just feel like this, like it seems like since all these active shootings, the mass shootings have started, you know, it's nothing is going to change if nothing changes, you know. And so the thing for me, I've been thinking about this all day because I had the chance to be at home and watch the news and things like that, and I just started thinking, you know, like, what has changed from years ago when we were all going to school and things like that to now? And it really boils down to the laws, the gun laws, you know, how the accessibility, how easy it is to access a firearm. And so I just was thinking, like, from back in our day, you know, the people's minds haven't changed since then, but the gun laws have.
That and we've taken God out of the schools.
Yes.
And that, to me, and the video games. I firmly believe this, and I know I'm going to get blasted for it, but the video games, a lot of times that these kids play, are so violent.
They are.
That they don't even think about it. They don't think about the act of death or the act of killing someone as being permanent.
Right.
They're so desensitized to the idea because of these games that they don't think anything about it.
Well, when we were growing up, we had the paddle. We had respect for the school, our teachers, the flag, and we had God in our schools.
We sure did.
Now,
Every morning.
all of that is gone. We don't have God, we don't have respect in the schools. There's schools now where I'm thinking, what the heck, people, who's the adult here? You've got children. There's one school that had where the blue flag for the police officers was hanging up in the school. The kids threw a big fit, said that they said some pretty rude things, this effing country, this effing flag. We don't need this in our schools. What did the teachers and the principal do? Oh, because you kids don't like it, we'll take it down and no more police officers, nobody in our school like this anymore, because it offends you. That's what's going on as well. There's protocols that were set up to protect these children, and they find it offensive.
Yeah.
So because of that, it's like, well, we better get them out of the school so the children aren't offensive. It's like, wake up. Who's the adult? Come on, take responsibility and protect these children.
Yeah.
These children don't know what's up.
Yeah.
Their minds are not even ready to process. And I feel like we need to stop coddling our children. I mean, the adult, you know, just coddling them as far as changing what we know what's right, and just allow them to throw a fit and keep it, you know, just stand firm in what we say. And back to, like, you know, the video games, I do believe there's a lot of violence in them, but I also believe that it does desensitize some children, but that's where the parents need to be present to not allow that to happen.
Right.
And so I do agree, and I disagree to a certain degree, because I have gamers too.
Sure.
But when you have a parent that's active in their lives, and we talk about what's real and fake versus allowing that video game to be the babysitter. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's the problem. That's some of that problem with how they get so desensitized so quickly, is because some parents allow that video, game console to be the babysitter.
Yeah.
And we can't. Just like the phones and things like that. That's the babysitter. That's the entertainer for that moment, or however many minutes they need to do whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like that's where some of that gets taken to the different extremes and levels of being desensitized to violence and what's reality and what's not.
Yeah.
So I'm not bashing you.
I didn't take it personally, and I'm not going to shoot you.
Yeah, it's just, it's crazy to me. Just even today, sending my own children to school after something like this so tragically happened, because just as easy as it was for that, down in Texas for that to happen, it can happen here.
Absolutely.
And it's very scary. And what's got to change is the laws, the gun control. I know that we are in the United States of America, we have all these rights to bear arms, but until we make a change and a stand, this is going to continue.
You can't take away the guns, though. I mean, we've had guns for over 60 years.
Yeah, but the last 60 years though, what's changed since the first mass shooting? What's changed? And allowed the accessibility to them guns to children. How are they getting access to these guns?
Well, some of them are taking their guns from their parents. Their parents aren't keeping good enough security on their weapons. Some of the kids, this 18-year-old that committed this crime in Texas yesterday, bought his rifle or his assault weapon legally. And I'm thinking, okay, obviously 18 is too young.
Yeah, how is this happening?
Yeah.
And that, there again, it stems right back to the laws. It really does. I mean, for me, this is just my own opinion.
Well, and the laws aren't always being enforced.
Right.
You know, we have a lot of laws on the books that aren't really actually being enforced. And because they're not being enforced, then we have a lot of crap like this.
There's a lot of gray areas.
Even if that 18-year-old hadn't went in and purchased those guns himself, if he was this determined to pull this off, he would have gotten them somewhere.
Yeah, he was going to get them.
So that's the thing there with not knowing which way to go, because if somebody wants to commit an act like this, they will find a way to get the guns and the ammunition to do it. And whether it's legal or not, they'll figure it out.
But he did purchase his legally, so I'm thinking, okay, 18 is too young to allow them to buy that kind of a weapon. But it's legal at this point, so,
Well, that's, okay.
Well, they're doing so many things with children at such a younger age now that they're trying to get through to them, which is going to cause a lot of mental issues to where this is going to appear a lot more with this CRT, the woke, all of this stuff. It's going to mess with the child's mind to where expect to see it. Just expect it to happen a lot more, because it will happen a lot more. And with the accessibility of the firearms, if they can't get the firearms, they will find another way to do it. There's been the pipe bombs, there's been, there's been other ways. The thing is protocols have been set up in the schools, like metal detectors, to stop it before they come in. That was offensive to the kids. The metal detectors are taken out. Things were set up with a police officer to be on staff. That offended the kids. They're not there.
This school, supposedly, I just read something, this school had 3 SRO officers that were assigned to this school, but none of them was there at the time. None of them was there at the time that the shooter got in the school. So, and here's the thing, the shooter can just as easily disable a cop as he can another student. So, you know, you can have policemen there patrolling and supervising and all that, but they can be surprised too.
Right.
So,
But they're more well equipped to handle the situation.
well,
If they see it coming, more so than what a teacher or a child would be. And so to go back when they were talking about arming the teachers at that point, that I don't feel is a good idea, because you're talking about a teacher that might be one that knew this child from kindergarten up until here he is a senior walking into school and getting ready to shoot everybody. Can that teacher actually look at that child that she almost raised from kindergarten up and knew him and actually look at him and shoot him?
yeah,
And
probably
stop
not.
it?
Probably not, yeah.
That would, and then if that teacher did, what kind of psychological problems is that going to cause that teacher, knowing what happened?
Yeah,
So you've got issues all the way around that are not being addressed or taken care of.
And one thing that I know it's just reality, but one thing I don't like about this reality is that it should not be something that we should just expect to keep happening.
Right.
Plain and simple. Like, we should not expect to send our children to school and this happen. We should not expect to go down to our local grocery store and don't come home. We should not expect to go to church and don't come home. This is things that we should not expect. And it should not be our reality. And so I feel like that we need to come together as, united, and find different solutions to this major problem that we are faced with right now.
And it's hard to be united and come together because our government is so focused on separating us
Right.
and causing these issues to happen.
Right, well, regardless, I think that people should come together regardless of the government. It's about the people right now and our safety and our children. And there's 19 children that, are not going home to their parents, that did not. And there's 19 families and even more because it just,
This is a tight-knit community.
yeah, and everybody doesn't stop at that family that are grieving. And as a mother, that I've lost a child at a young age as well, not in this manner, but I just can't imagine what they're going through right now. It just breaks my heart.
Yeah,
All day, ever since I heard about it, it's been just, it's heartbreaking.
Well, I was telling Eric this morning when he was here for your hour, the first thought that ran through my head was, thank goodness I don't have kids in school anymore, but I have grandkids and I have great-grandkids in school, and this could just as easily have happened here or at one of their schools. So, we need to take it seriously, and we need to figure out how to keep it from happening, because this shouldn't happen.
And when I went to my son's graduation, his 5th grade graduation, I really had a different appreciation for the locked door that was there, that you have to press a button to be, for them to actually see you and open that door. It just a different appreciation. They also had a officer inside the gym area for the ceremony as well. So just a different appreciation for that. Yeah.
I think people need to become more appreciative of these officers putting their life on the line to protect these children.
Yeah.
They're not there to intimidate or to make you feel uneasy. They're there to protect you. Let them protect you. Is what they need to do.
And, all this talk, I haven't heard any of it lately, but the talk that we used to hear about defunding the police, it's like, get real. You want the police to help you in a situation like this, but you want to defund them? I don't think so. It doesn't work that way.
Well, I would get a list of all the ones that want to defund them, and if they're the police they call, and I'd be like, oh wait, you're on my list. Yeah, we might see you tomorrow. Yeah.
And I know that here in Wichita, what I've seen, because I do have the children that are in this, the school system still, I know that they do not take threats lightly. They will knock that school down real quick over anything. It could just be a rumor, and they take it very seriously. And also what I've noticed too is every morning when I drop my high schooler off, there's always an officer that makes his rounds and is parked as well when he gets there and goes inside the school as well. And I've always appreciated it, but now it's a very different appreciation again. Just another reality wake-up call for myself, just because that could have been my child. So yeah, I do appreciate what the Wichita PD has done for our school system here in Wichita, because some don't have that.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I remember that right after Columbine happened, a lot of the schools set in place a protocol where they kept their doors locked, and you had to have ID and you had to have clearance to get in. But they've gotten really lax about that lately, and a lot of the schools don't do that anymore.
Well, not my children's school. They do not play. Like, I've been in their face a lot, and they still, they still wait for me to press that button. They don't even play. So I do appreciate that though, because see, this is what happens when we get complacent. We get too complacent, and then, you know, we're caught off guard, and I don't want to be that person that is crying because somebody got too complacent with their job or thinking, you know, oh, this won't happen here. It may, you know, so we have to take it seriously.
Well, and there was a shooting here in Wichita on the west side of town this morning, early this morning. And, you know.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it wasn't a mass shooting, but it was, it basically turned into suicide by cop. And that was sad. But, you know, that, if somebody shows you a gun, if somebody shows you in some way that they could be dangerous, believe them.
Yeah, I'm not taking that lightly. Yeah.
Yeah, well, one time it was like a joke.
Right.
Now anymore, no, they're not joking. Anything you see online, or anything that somebody's
Take it seriously.
This 18-year-old apparently posted everything what he was going to do on Facebook.
Well, I said, I heard that the couple of things that they, are we off?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're still broadcasting on
Okay.
YouTube.
Sorry. So just can I have one time that I don't do something that I'm embarrassed about? Exiting off the stage. I know, right? But I don't even know. I lost my train of thought. Oh, about the Facebook. It was the Facebook had responded. I had just heard this before I was, you know, on my way here, that it wasn't nothing for, you know, the red flags to be thrown out of what he put on Facebook. I would like to see that. I would like to see that. That's what Facebook said.
Threatening to
That's
shoot your
what
grandmother
Facebook said.
is not.
It wasn't
Oh,
enough
my
to
gosh.
throw flags.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know where Facebook's headed, though.
Right.
I mean, that tells you right there. It's like, oh, we're going to be population more people. We better keep this down.
Well, it looks like we're going to take a short break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Welcome to Jim Morgan's Dry Cleaning. We really appreciate your business.
And we are Wichita.
Jim Morgan's Fine Dry Cleaning is a full-service dry cleaner and shirt laundry specializing in high-quality and friendly customer service. We pay close attention to details throughout the entire dry cleaning process, and with over 30 years of experience in the industry, your garments will be clean and pressed to perfection. Jim Morgan's Fine Dry Cleaning is truly a full-service dry cleaner. We clean anything from suits, dresses, trousers, comforters, to draperies. What separates Jim Morgan's Fine Dry Cleaning from the other dry cleaners is we only have one location, and Jim is here waiting on you personally and answer any questions, whether you're in our store or on the telephone. Jim makes sure personally that your special requests are taken care of.
Your home is your castle, and it's your biggest investment. It doesn't matter if it needs new exterior paint, new siding, a sunny new deck, a kitchen update with wallpaper removal, or new cabinets with a granite top. Your home can be like new with a paint job or flooring. With 9 years experience and 5 years as a licensed insured business, Los Reyes Painting and Remodeling does residential or commercial work for a reasonable price. To get your free estimate to make your castle look like new, call 316-409-0002.
Were you a victim of a high-pressure or dishonest timeshare sales agent? Were you misled and confused with what you were buying? Did the timeshare fail to deliver what you were promised? Do you feel that you overpaid and just want out? If you answered yes to any of these questions, we can help. We're Timeshare Compliance. Our team can legally terminate your timeshare agreement, ending the payments forever. With one simple call, we can help end the financial suffering.
Call 800-230-3818, 800-230-3818.
Welcome back to Mouthy Broads. You know, we were talking about the school shooting that took place yesterday in Texas. You know, the sad part of it is a lot of this stuff could, well, of course, the child or the person that committed this crime was not a student at that school at that time, but he had been a student somewhere at some time. And so what Kim is maintaining is that our teachers really need to be better equipped to know what they're looking for when they look at their kids' work, at their,
Yeah, they can just, like with what I do is I go in and I work with the teachers and the counselors, and I show them just little, like 4 to 5 things in a child's handwriting that are red flags. You would know whether that child is being sexually abused. You would know whether they're depressed, whether they're suicidal, whether they're getting ready to commit an act like this. All of that would show up in the handwriting, and these things could be prevented, and these children can get the help they need. Because a lot of them are not getting the help that they need.
Yeah, well, nobody knows they need it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
they're unaware of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We have a lot of resources. We have a lot of medical and mental health resources available to people, but they have to ask for them. I mean, somebody has to refer them, or somebody. We need to know that they're needed. And if nobody knows that this child needs help, they're not going to get that help, and then it's going to escalate into a situation like what we saw yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Well, you would even, like with this 18-year-old, apparently, supposedly he had no friends, didn't have a girlfriend, never been in trouble. But these are warning flags in a child's handwriting. You would see that child as a loner at that point, to where even that alone is a red flag. Seeing a child as a loner, because why are they a loner?
Exactly.
What's going on?
There are, yeah, and it's things that even in the home that people need to pay attention to with their children. I mean, even though he lived with the grandmother or whatever, what have you, there's things, I mean, that would throw a flag for me if my children were always in their room and didn't have any friends and didn't have a desire to go outside the house, you know what I mean? I'd be like, come here we come. You know? I mean, that's one good, I laugh, but I'm serious, you know, because that is one good thing about, I'm just going to speak about what I know about Wichita, is that we do have a lot of resources here for children, adults, teens, you know, what have you, all walks of life. And it doesn't matter if you have $1 in your pocket, you can still get some help.
That's right.
Without a referral, just there's help out there. And so them are things like, you know, I just take things in and I'm like, okay, you know, if my child's acting like this or this is going on, there are so many resources that are available to us really here. I don't know about everywhere else, but just here in Wichita, they're 24 hours.
Wichita has lots of resources.
Yes, they do. They have even they even have the mental health hospitals for teens and, you know, just not just only calm care. There's just so many, even stuff I didn't know about until one of my own children was suffering from some depression that needed some guidance and assistance with. And I started calling around and I'm like, dang, there's a lot of places here to help, you know. It's like, which one do I want to go to? Because there's so many, so.
I think a lot of with the children, it's the norm to be on the computer, it's the norm to be on the phone, it's the norm to play these video games. So when
And
you
to
see
be
your
antisocial.
child, and so to see your child like this, it's like, oh, they're just like all the other kids. But in reality, no, they're not. Something else is going on. So there needs to be more social things. There needs to be more interaction with the parents and the child. And I think actually, I think schools need to cut back on the homework, because a child needs to go home and interact with their family.
Yeah.
They
This
really don't
family
have
stuff.
that much homework anymore.
They've cut,
Just
well, I know when my kids were in school,
I
it was like
remember
staying up until.
well, when my oldest was even in school, we were still doing the spelling, you know, the practice test and math, and I was ready to hire someone to do that because I am not a good teacher, you know.
I've been there, done that. It's not my turn.
Yeah. You know.
Like that, they go to school all day, and then you gotta hire somebody to do more.
I know, but now they don't do a lot of homework at all. Like not one. I think one time, my daughter never had any this year, and she's a 3rd grader. And my son, that was a 5th grader, he only had maybe twice a worksheet to do.
That's a big difference.
And my high schooler, I mean, I don't know, he might have had some homework and didn't want to do it, he still passed,
So he's not a lifer in school. That's a good thing.
Right, so, but I really seen a lot of that just over the last couple of years, just kind of fade out with the homework
Do you
stuff.
think it has to do with COVID coming into effect and maybe it going out with?
Well, even
right
before that, the COVID, the homework, I'm not going to start lying because I wasn't present for a couple of years, because of my addiction, so. But it has since the COVID and up until now, it has kind of faded away, so, yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I think you need more of that interaction. You need friends. You need
I think that families should start sitting at the dinner table again and eat their dinner together, turn the TV off, turn the phones off, and talk to each other. When I was growing up, we did that. Of course, we didn't have cell phones, so that was not an issue. But the TV was off, and we didn't take phone calls during the for the phone that was up on the wall.
The rotary one.
The one that nobody anymore knows what those are.
Wasn't a cordless.
And then when it rang, it was, what is it that they called that? It was a house party or?
Party line.
Party line.
Yeah.
We had
a party line.
to pay attention to the rings.
Yeah, we had a party line with my grandmother, because she lived across the alley from
Before my time.
Probably.
Okay.
Because the phone was
invited to the party line.
You know what the rotary?
I remember the rotary phone, yeah.
Well, the party line was it was supposed to help you keep your costs down, and so you could use the phone, but if the person on the other end of that party line was using the phone, then you couldn't. If you picked up the phone and you heard somebody talking, you were supposed to hang up.
Oh, that was way before
We didn't do that. Although, most of the time when we picked up the party line and my grandmother was talking to one of her friends, we would think we were pulling something off by listening in.
Like, shh, shh, shh,
But it was boring. It was so boring, so eventually I just quit doing that. And of course there would be times when I'd hear my grandmother say, "Oh, what are you kids on the phone?" Click. Be like, no.
I don't hear of this ever happening. Remember where you'd get the obscene phone calls where you'd pick up the phone and somebody on the other end would say things that probably shouldn't have been said? That they're watching you and they like what you wear and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they do that stuff. I remember that when we were.
Oh, you seem like you miss it.
It was a nice conversation.
She was like, they don't do that anymore. I wish she would call me.
My mom's in the other room. Let's cut this off.
I'll call you later.
You don't even hear that stuff anymore after
Because nobody has house phones.
They just text all the obscene stuff.
And then hope their parents don't see it. Kids do have a tendency sometimes to act a little antisocial because they're busy, they're texting each other on their phones, they're not present. They're not present at home or wherever they happen to be. They're not there because they're busy on their phone. And that should stop. I mean, as parents, we should demand that they be present. And, the phone, you can pocket that phone for a little while. It won't kill you.
Yeah.
They act like it will.
Yeah, they do.
Well, and I also think parents, especially now, need to be more in tune with what's going on with the children at school and with their homework.
You're back in the air.
Okay.
With what's going on, should I talk about that one incident on the homework? 4-year-olds are getting out. A teacher sent out a request for the 4-year-olds to go home, find a nice little cozy spot in your home, and draw a picture of what your area looks like, because this is gonna be your place where you go home and we're gonna show you how to masturbate in that place. 4-year-olds. Can you imagine that? So yeah, parents need to be involved, and if this mother wasn't involved with her 4-year-old daughter, would this have gotten out? Because it was a 4-year-old's mother that reported it and got this out and went to the school like, what the heck's going on?
Where was this in Wichita?
I don't know if I have, no, it was not in Wichita. Let me see, I don't know. This was in Alert Bay, BC, so it wasn't in the U.S. area.
Yeah.
But with the CRT and with them wanting to teach all the things that they're wanting to teach the children. Like, to me, some of the things that I have gotten here.
That's totally inappropriate.
Yeah, they're finding out that there's, actually with what they're teaching is a lot of them are grooming the children for a little bit down the road. And so this is wrong. So yeah, parents need to be definitely involved with what's being brought home. And if a child is in school and they come home and say, oh, well, homework's no big deal, we're not supposed to talk about it with you anyway, that should be a massive red flag right there. You know.
I used to have to conduct a raid on my kids' book bags, not so much Andrea's, but Doug's. I used to conduct a raid on his book bag every so often because I'd get a phone call maybe from a teacher saying, well, I sent you a note home about this or that. Okay. Well, needless to say, I haven't seen that note, so why don't you just tell me what it said and we'll go from there. So then I would go find Doug's book bag and start rifling through it. And you know, he wasn't even smart enough to throw the thing away. He just,
he didn't sign it and give it back to you. I read it, saying you read it.
But, yeah, you do need to communicate with your kids' teachers. You do need to know what's going on. I don't like the idea of, in some of my kids' classes, the teachers were assigning homework for the parents to do with the kids. I don't like that.
I agree with you.
I don't like that. I've done my stint in school and I've done my work. I don't want to come home and do homework with my child. Now, I want to be available if my child needs my help, but I do not want to be assigned a certain amount of homework to do with my child. Well, and then if you do it like with I remember doing this with my kids and with my son, there was math, and I can do math, I can just look at these numbers and go, oh, well, this is the answer. Well, they had to go through these 50 million
show their work. And it's so much different than what we were how we were taught. And so I literally, this is why I would want to hire someone. Because me and my poor son, we would be going at it because that's not the way I got that answer and how I was taught, and they had them doing it so in different stuff. And then they wanted us to go to classes so they could teach us how to do it their way. After all these years, I can't do that.
To me, is if you're smart enough to come up with the answer with all the BS, then take the answer.
We have a call on the line, and we don't know the name. Hi, who have we got here?
So this is Amy.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
I'm fine.
So what's on your mind?
Well, I just heard of the show. It just kind of went off the air.
Oh, we were broadcasting on YouTube, but we had some issues with the satellites.
It's working now.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're talking about the school shooting, but I wanted to talk about, I watched your hour today. And you had a couple of interesting people on the show. And I'm not sure if Dr. Charles Coleman, what kind of a doctor he is?
He's a doctor of law.
Okay. So there was a lot of the comments that he was making and just about everything that's going on in general. And I think he was saying that, in my opinion, he was saying is that we're playing like a blame game, and no one wants to take responsibility for what happens. And I agree with that. I think with what's going on with the kids in school, I think that the children, not that I've talked to any personally, but it seems like a lot of kids are lost today. I've talked to teenagers. I think a lot of the parents are also lost, and maybe a lot of people in general. And I think that the violence, especially the issues with weapons, has been ongoing for a long time. Because if you think about what we see on television every day, all the cop shows, the movies, it's, there's not a scene without a gun.
And the video games that the kids play.
Yeah. And if you look at and watch some of the old cop shows, like, Kojak, they're not just, go in and start shooting people up. There was a different respect for the weapon back then. And there wasn't a shoot-to-kill situation like what you see in assault. What you see on television or what you see in movies. So I think that's part of the problem. I agree with Jamie. I also think that the video games are pretty violent. And I've seen a lot advertised on TV, and there's like one that they have now on Apple and Google, Apple Store and Google one, Google Play, I think that's what it's called. And it looks real. The weapons look real. Everything looks real. So how do you tell the difference? Well, they could actually use that video game to show us that there was some type of war going on.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then you had a lady on, I think her name was Morgan.
Oh, that was a satellite interview. Morgan Champion. She was talking about mental health for our kids in the schools. Is that?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I would like to see that survey that she talked about, because it sounds like parents don't really want to take responsibility. They want to push it off on the schools. Here, my kid might have a problem, you deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's going in the wrong direction. If you're going to have kids, we need to take responsibility for their mental health and their physical health. That's your job.
Yeah.
So then, yes, you should be able to have access to resources, and as a school, we need to pay attention and intervene if necessary, but just putting it off on someone else to do that, why would you even trust someone else?
Right.
Well, and I think part of the problem, Amy, is that a lot of parents are out of their element. They don't know what to do about the situation. So they think that they think that the teachers might be better suited to handle it, or they think that maybe the school has resources that can help them handle the situation. Because I really think, you said you thought some of the students were lost and some of the parents were lost. I agree. I think they are. They're out of their pay grade.
Yeah, and if you're going to be a parent, it's a serious job, and we all need to start educating ourselves on things like that, regardless. You just need to take the initiative and take control, and not feel that you're defeated and that you can't change anything, because people that want to defeat you want you to feel that way. They want you to feel hopeless. They want you to feel like you can't do anything, so you might as well just give it up. Just give up. And it's actually the opposite. You do have the power to do and take control of situations like that.
They need a parent instruction book. When they get ready to have a child, here's your parent instruction book. This is what you need to do throughout the year.
A handbook, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or, maybe wait. I know that doesn't happen, but if you have, when you have kids having kids,
That's true.
it makes it really difficult.
That is true.
And, they both are going to struggle.
Yeah, because they're just not prepared. I agree.
So, yeah, I just think we all need to step up. And Jamie had made a comment last week when we were talking about what was going on with the money issue and credit cards and all that, digital credit. And, we can do something about it. But, it's not too late. We can make a difference. And I've been very concerned about a lot of things that have been going on, so I actually called the state's attorney general's office. And I also emailed, and I got a call back.
Really?
So, and the gentleman that spoke with me was, he was very encouraging, and he told me, he said, keep up your energy, don't give up. But that's what they want. They want people to get tired and just say, I'm not going to bother fighting. And he said, just keep up your energy and keep on doing what you're doing and keep on calling your elected officials and emailing and whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's a
just keep on doing it.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I don't think there are enough people to do that. Maybe they think, well, no one cares.
Right.
I'm just going to vote any way I want.
Right.
Because my elected, the people that voted for me don't care. They're not paying attention. They are disengaged. And they need to get engaged.
And you're right, and that's why a lot of times they vote with what they want to vote and not what their constituents want, because they're not hearing from their constituents, so they don't know what we want.
Yes. So I sincerely believe it. Voting is a responsibility. Paying attention to what's going on is a responsibility. It's not just a gift. It's not your right. You need to get off your butt and make phone calls and send emails. And yeah, it's time consuming. I spent 3 hours last week doing it, and I'm going to continue doing that. So if somebody has to hear our voice, and one person might make a little bit of a difference, but 100 people will make a huge difference.
Well, and one person can inspire several others.
Yes, indeed.
So that's.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see the gal on that was that had written that book about 100 things to do in Wichita before you die?
Yes, I did.
That was interesting. I've got a copy of that book, and I've been leafing through it, and I've been to a number of the establishments that she names in that book, but there's quite a few of them I haven't been, so I'm going to have to start. I'm going to have to take that book with me when I get in the car and start
check it out.
checking stuff off, because it's interesting. I like the idea of supporting local businesses. Now, not all of the businesses that she was talking about were local, but a lot of them are, and so it was an interesting book, and she was an interesting person.
And there are a lot of people that are not from Wichita, like myself, and my bias when I first arrived was, oh my God, there's nothing to do in this town. Right? But I also I came from a small town, but I came from an area that was very, very populated. There were lots of towns around in upstate New York. So there was a lot to do as far as nature. When you've got lakes and you've got the Fair Lakes region, you've got, a lot of hills. Here it's a little bit different. It's really flat. But there are things to do, and there's, I think, kind of like a whole underground of very interesting people that I have met over the years. So it's not, it's got the Midwest feeling to it, but there are a lot of people that are pretty smart and know what's going on.
How did you wind up in Wichita?
Well, I was invited. I had a relative that was already living here. Otherwise, I would not have moved to the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And I always liked severe weather, so that was one of the, selling points.
That was
good to see a tornado.
Well, and I've told people before that our weather people here in town, on 3, 10, and 12, they get really excited when there's a tornado or when there's possible bad weather. They get really excited about it. And we maintain that they're having weathergasms.
Well, I think for the most part they do stay pretty calm.
Yeah, but you can tell they're excited because they take every opportunity to interrupt programming that they can.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
You can tell Miss Cheryl to stop with the bad jokes already.
It can also be very dangerous.
Yeah, that's true.
I want to see a tornado as long as it's way far away. Out in the country.
Where nobody gets hurt.
Or no one loses their houses.
Yeah, nobody loses a roof or a cow or...
I know when we moved from here, from Tornado Alley, and then went to Texas, people were saying, oh, you're not going to be in Texas very long because of the hurricanes. That's a whole different scenario. You don't see tornadoes in the valley and on the border. It's very rare to see a tornado. But the hurricanes, oh my gosh, they're just unreal.
And they go on and on. A tornado usually kind of comes through, does its damage, and moves on. A hurricane goes on and on and on.
On the island, South Padre Island, when Hurricane Dolly hit. So we were in the eye of the storm, and we went to stay on the island, and we're going across the causeway, and here's all these people coming this way. We're like, well, there must be a big party over it. Because everybody's leaving the island. We get to the island, and there's only a few of us on the island, and we find out the hurricane's getting ready to hit. But by then, they closed off the causeway, and we couldn't get off the island. So we were stuck on the island, and we saw it destroy the hotels, the palm trees, and you see it come around, and we were right in the eye of it. And then the wind goes this way, the wind goes that way, and it went around. And we were in this hall area on the 6th floor of a condo, and all the windows start rattling, so we go out in the hallway, and then we see it coming back around, and the way the wind was coming, so we're heading back in, and I had my granddaughter with me then, so we open up, there's like a screen door and a door, and those movies that you see on cartoons to where the wind's coming and your body's straight out. Well, here I throw my granddaughter in, I grab the door, and my body's out like this. My husband comes up and throws me in, and he jumps in. But if my husband hadn't have grabbed me, I would have been gone. That's this big suction you get.
Well, Amy, it looks like we're already out of time. I appreciate your call this evening. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm Morris Langworthy, Chief Meteorologist at NewsNet. At NewsNet, we're working around the clock to bring you the latest weather conditions right where you live and around the country. We're using the latest technology to bring you those conditions. If it's rainy, sunny, or